Welcome back to the County Agent Podcast. Today we have with us the man, the myth, the legend, TC, Mr. Tom Carr. I guess it's Dr. Tom Carr, not Mr. Tom Carr. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you.
I was told that you went by TC back in the day. That was from an Illinois grad.
Yes, that was primarily what a lot of the kids called me was TC. And so, yes, that's a pretty wide handle.
How's everything been going?
Really very good. We, retirement supposedly is a time to slow down, but that really hasn't happened to Joe and I. It seems like we're on the go all the time. And like this coming weekend, we're headed for Illinois for our annual judging team reunion this weekend. And we seem to keep the road pretty hot.
You bet. So I'm going to back up just a touch, and we'll talk about your years at Illinois. But you were raised right here in Barber County.
Correct. We raised in the Deerhead community. We've got quite a family history in that area. In that, my granddad, whose last name obviously was Carr, his father. We don't brag about this, but his father ran a saloon in Lake City, and then bought the 640 acres on the east side of the Deerhead Etna Road, and that was the Carr Ranch, and 640 there. And then my granddad, his son, married a Hildebrand who owned the land on the west side, and that was in 1884. That land was purchased. The Carr side was in the early 1900s, 906, 907 in there. And so, that's a long time to be in one area as such. And when Dad came back from World War II in 1945, my grandparents, who lived on the ranch and raised Dad and his sister, moved to Medicine Lodge and bought a house on Main Street. And then Dad and Mom moved into the old 4-room ranch house out at Deerhead. And we maintained that house on Main Street from 46 on, one from my grandparents. And then when my granddad passed away, then Mom and Dad moved into it, remodeled it some. And then when both folks had passed away, my brother and I just kept it. And when Joe and I made the decision to retire and move back to Barber County, my brother said, well, just buy my part of that. And he said, bulldoze that sucker down and build a new house. And so that's what we did. And of course, when we moved back, everybody that knew me as a kid had basically passed away. And I had a few relatives still in the area and a few classmates still in the area. But when we moved in, we were known as the couple that built the new house on Main Street.
Small town gossip.
Yeah.
Probably made the front page of the newspaper.
Well, I don't remember that, but
or at least the chatter boards on Facebook.
Well, probably so. Yeah.
Well, you now I'm going to speculate you graduated from Medicine Lodge.
Yes. We I had 8 years, 1-room schoolhouse in Deerhead, 1st through 8th grade. And then I guess it was in the summer of 60, Mom and Dad said, well, you're either going to be driving back and forth or we can move into town and we'll drive back and forth. And so that was a decision that was made. And went to graduate of Medicine Lodge High School and then on to K-State for a bachelor's and master's degrees, PhD at Oklahoma State, and then took a job as assistant professor at the University of Illinois in 1974 and was there for 36 years.
Now, had you ever been to Illinois before going up there to work?
Not really. I mean, we passed through it, on a vacation or something like that. But no, I knew nothing really about the University of Illinois until I flew in for the job interview.
Really? What was it that attracted you? I mean, obviously you flew in, you interviewed, you took the job and had a career there, but what was it about Illinois that made you think this is what we need to do?
Well, they, through the interviewing process, you know, I knew a couple of faculty members there. And then when I went to interview, I was impressed with the faculty and especially with their department head. And he said, I'm looking for somebody that can join our meat science group. I'm looking for a meat judging coach and somebody that can reach out to our state extension wise. And that really appealed to me. And I knew they had very stringent entrance requirements. And so you got a really high quality, smart kid in class. And that attracted me also. And but the department head and the dean said, we will support you as far as the meat judging program is concerned. And
that goes a long ways.
It went a long ways, you know. And so I had the opportunity at a job with the USDA in Washington, D.C. They had offered me a job, and then I was scheduled to interview for an assistant professor position at the University of Tennessee. But I took the Illinois job before I ever interviewed at the University of Tennessee.
They won you over pretty quick then, huh?
Yeah, they did. They
That's
did.
Good. So when did the passion, because those that aren't familiar with you, or those that are young and familiar with you, know you as Dr. Carr, the 4-H volunteer meat judging coach. But you had a lengthy career. I mean, well, you had an entire career at Illinois, coaching teams and stuff. But when personally to you did that become a passion?
Well, to be very frank, it started right here in 4-H in Barber County. Of course, the baby boomers, there's a bunch of us that came, you know, were born in 46, 47, 48, 49. And even prior to that, those kids born in the early 40s, 4-H was a big thing in Barber County. And judging was a huge thing in Barber County. And I mean, you know, if it walked or flew, we judged it. And we had a livestock judging team, we had a land judging team, we had a range judging team. We did not have a meat judging team. And so, you know, there was just a lot of really good farm kids. And I honestly don't remember how many clubs we had in Barber County, but it was a significant number. And many of them were very competitive in livestock judging, especially. And
now, when you're talking about that, you're talking about the clubs competing against each other?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because right now it's like everybody's on one team for the county.
Yeah. Competition against each other. And Deerhead and Lone Eagle were you know, competed all the time against each other, which was great. And we then came together as a county and would go to district livestock judging contest. And putting our county together, it was a formidable group of judges. And, you know, everybody's sphincter muscle tightened up when Barber County walked in. And that was so much fun.
Well, I've seen, looking back through some old extension annual reports, was it in the 60s that Barber County was the national champions?
In livestock?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The Ott boys.
Yes.
From Kiowa. And I think Bill Kimmel was on that team. And I don't remember who all was on it. But yeah, that was big time stuff.
Yeah. Was that in Chicago?
That's probably still at Louisville.
Louisville.
Probably Louisville then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's probably tough for people to wrap their heads around it that's not familiar with Barber County or know it from recent times. I've shared with people just in my lifetime, we've seen the county population reduce 40%.
Yeah.
That's from 7,000 plus to barely 4,000 just in my lifetime. And the population was even more, the county was even bigger when you were younger. And so, I mean, you look back at that and you think, yeah, that was possible. We had so many more family farms, so many kids being raised on the family farm, and you could spread that around through different clubs and stuff. But kids today are probably scratching their heads going, they competed against clubs in the county. It takes the whole county just to make a little team now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was amazing, and we had 2 or 3 young guys that had just graduated from Kansas State, had either primarily been in the Korean War, but guys like Bill Root and Gene Bell that came back to be on the farm, and they were on fire, and they served as great volunteer leaders, especially in the livestock judging side. And then, our 4-H leaders it was all about the kids. And and we had a great county agent that pushed all of this. And we were national winners in range judging. We competed in land judging. I mean, at the national level, it was a big thing. And you get that in your blood, and you have some success, and that just motivates you that much more.
Yeah.
And so that's actually where my passion started with. And then got to K-State, and I took this introductory meat science course, which, I knew nothing about meats, period. And that was kind of interesting stuff. And then they had a brand new assistant professor in meat science come in, and he was taking over the team. And so anyway, his name was Dr. Dell Allen, and he asked me, and he said, "Would you like to come out for the meat judging team?" I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "I don't know anything about it." He said, "That's all right." And so I did that. I lived in farmhouse fraternity, and a bunch of the guys were both on the livestock judging team and meats team, and they said you needed to do that. Well, I started on the meats team my junior year. You usually start your sophomore year. And so I did that, and miracle of miracles. We only judged in 3 contests back then. Now they judge 8, 9, something like that. 3 contests in Fort Worth and American Royal and the International. And we went to Fort Worth, this new coach and these silly boys that didn't know anything, and son of a gun. We won, and I happened to be the high individual, just crazy stuff like that. And so through that experience, I wanted to be on the livestock team. That was the first thing I wanted to do, is judge at K-State and livestock judging. And so anyway, now to be on the livestock team, since I started late with the meats team, I need to go an extra semester. And so I went to Dad and said, "Hey, I'd like to be on the livestock team," but I said, "It requires me to go that fall semester. I should graduate in the spring, but I said, to be on the team, I got to be in the fall." So, well, he said, "That's all right with me." He says, "You go down to First National Bank and you borrow the money." So I did that, and that was a scary thing for me. And anyway, I got borrowed $500, and the loan rate was ungodly low, something like 1.5% or something like that, for student loans, and back then. And so I come out of the bank, and Dad said, "Well, how did it go?" I said, "I think okay." I said, "I borrowed $500 at 1.5% or 2% interest." He said, "My God," he said, "why didn't you borrow a bunch more money?" I thought, I barely survived walking in there talking to him, And so anyway, but I had a great experience then on the livestock team, and we were fortunate. We won both the American Royal and the national contests, and so really positive experiences like that. But the big thing is I really enjoyed the teaching aspects of it. I helped, as a grad student working on my master's degree with Dell, I had that chance to help him with the meats judging team. And then I was assisting and teaching meat science classes, that type of thing. And then Dad and I had this heart-to-heart talk. My whole plan was to go right back to the ranch. And he said, your granddad and I are in the partnership. And he says, we are not big enough for you to come back and jump right in. And he says, you need to find a job after you graduate. So that motivated me to go ahead and get my master's degree. And I got interested in that. I thought, well, this PhD doesn't sound like a bad deal either. So I visited Iowa State, University of Missouri, and Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State offered me a half-time teaching assistantship, which was more money than a research assistantship, all about money. And so, and coaching the meats team. And of course, that really caught my interest. And so I did that. The half-time instructorship slowed me down as far as my program's concerned. It took me about 4 years to get my PhD, but great experience. And then went to Illinois.
Now I want to back up when you won that contest at Fort Worth. Had you ever been to Fort Worth?
No.
Had you been out of Barber County or the state of Kansas much at all back then?
Well, primarily to Colorado, because we vacationed in Buena Vista in Colorado before my brother and I got big enough to really work.
Yeah.
Then the vacation seemed to slide. But yeah, Colorado primarily.
Yeah. Well, I wondered because, it seems like today everybody can travel anywhere, and they do. And I know, thinking of like my mother and my father talking about, my dad going to stock show in Oklahoma City when he was a kid, that was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
They very rarely got off the farm. And
yeah.
I didn't know how much you had got to travel prior to that,
Yeah. Not much.
They will remain nameless. But I remember my first year going with you, K-State, to the 4-H state contest. We got in the elevator at the hotel and told a kid to hit floor 3, and they didn't even know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And that kid's dad will listen to this because he remembers. He's like, I gotta get that kid out of town more. He'd never been in an elevator.
Yeah.
I mean, it could still happen.
And that's the great thing. I mean, just for our 4-H kids, but it's the same thing at a university setting. Many of those kids, you would think they would have, but we go to places, in different contests throughout the country, and they're seeing brand new territory. Their eyes are big.
Yeah. So, now how many years you put in Illinois?
36.
So, I know we've had this discussion, but if you don't mind sharing, what was some of your successes up there?
Well, I coached both the 4-H team and 4-H team, the meats team, and then Dr. Doug Parrott, who passed away a couple of years ago, and I co-coached the meat animal evaluation team, which is kind of the last thing many collegians do as far as evaluation is concerned, and we have a national contest there. And interesting, our judging team reunion this Saturday, we are celebrating the teams that end in 5. And my 1975 meats team were national champions. And then my 2005 meats judging team were national champions. And then we're national champions in 78 and 82. And so I had 4 national champion teams as far as meats is concerned, but we had 16 national championships as far as meat animal evaluation is concerned. And that was when I started at Illinois. The old livestock judging coach called me in, and he said, "There's one thing I need to tell you." He said, "Our faculty here had a lot to do with establishing the National Meat Animal Evaluation Contest," and he says, "It's a big deal at the University of Illinois."
Mm-hmm.
So I got the message real quick on that, and so we did put a lot of emphasis on that. And success follows hard work generally, and we were extremely successful.
Now, I messaged you around New Year's that I met one of your former kids up there that I think he wasn't on the meats team.
Yeah, he was on the livestock and the meat animal evaluation team.
Yeah, and you talk about just random circumstances. That happened to be an empty seat at the table he was at, and I just happened to sit there, and we struck up a conversation, and it started with club lambs, and then I realized he had told me he was from Illinois, and I said, "Did you grow up there?" He goes, "Yeah, I went to the university." And I said, "You happen to know Tom Carr?" And he goes, "Well, who doesn't know Tom Carr?" And then I explained who I was and where I was from, and he's like, "Wow, holy smokes!" And it was just a great visit with somebody. But it was, that conversation, let me back up and say, was in St. Louis, Missouri. It wasn't like I was just down the street and just bumped into this guy. We were both at an event together for different reasons and just happened to meet, and hoping, maybe knock on wood, we might be visiting with him here pretty quick about some possible show lambs.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Turns out they, with your feedback, I've confirmed that they're pretty legit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they are. Yeah.
So when you retired, you moved back to Barber County, and most of the young folks know you around here as the 4-H meats judging coach, and you volunteer a bunch with the Prescribed Burn Association and different things. You've been involved with the Extension Council. Why is it, or what is it that makes you want to stay involved, helping young people and being involved in the community?
Well, really, because I had such a great experience as a youth growing up in Barber County. It's payback time, and I've had wonderful opportunities in, to University of Illinois. I started 4-H meat judging in Illinois in 1976. And, of course, was very much involved in training youth. My graduate student, one of their responsibilities was coaching the Illinois state 4-H team that competed in national meat judging contests and that type of thing. So we've been involved with the youth the whole time. And when Tim Marshall asked me, he said, "Hey, would you be interested in coaching, helping coach the meats team, get one started?" I said, "Yeah, I'll be glad to." And so Barber County, our first team for a number of years, started in 2013. And so we've been going ever since on that. But it's just, I gained a tremendous amount from it. My career was established through it. And, anytime I can help our youth, I feel like I need to do it.
You bet. How is, obviously the county looks a little different than when you was in 4-H, and probably looks a little different than it did in 2013 even. I know we moved back in 2011, and the reason we built our house is there was no other option. We had to buy some ground from a family member and build a house because there was nothing to be had because oil and gas was going hot back then. And but I know, how has it been working with the 4-H kids from 2013 till now? I mean, that's a 13-year span. I mean, is there some ebb and flow with that? Is there years where there's more kids that want to be involved than not? How's that been?
Very definitely. And Justin, that is the real challenge is, and most of the judging programs requires time and effort. And it's certainly that way in 4-H meat judging because of the retail cut identification, that type of thing. And you don't learn it all overnight. And finding kids that are willing to spend that quality of time and work is challenging. They have so many opportunities that quote, pull them away from such an activity. And so, yes, and in recent years, in the last 5 or 6, well, last 4 probably, it seemed like even more challenging to find some 4-Hers that would be interested. And now there's been some parents tell me here recently that their kids are interested and they're waiting for them to get just a little bit older to do it. And my only concern about that, is when they get a little bit older, they may be interested in something else.
Yeah.
And so when should a kid start? That type of thing. But we don't have a lot of kids, and there's lots of activities even within 4-H that they can be involved in, and the judging experience takes time and effort.
Yeah, yeah, and it's changed so much. Even in just my lifetime, we didn't have little league football. I mean, we didn't have youth football. We called it bitty basketball. I remember when I was in grade school, but you played like a few games locally. I never remember traveling out of Kiowa to go play a rec league basketball game when I was a kid. Baseball was a bigger thing during the summer. We would travel around quite a bit and even sometimes go to some out of town tournaments with like an all-star team and stuff. But now, I mean, you've got football in the fall for kids from, well, I think they start them in flag football, and I think tackle football starts around 3rd grade up. You've got basketball and wrestling in the winter. You got people starting up baseball now. My girls, we're guilty of it. We play travel volleyball for a team out of Pratt, and we play school sports as well. And so, I mean, and that's just the sports, as you mentioned. That doesn't even include the other things that you can be involved with, whether it's a school club or something else. It's just like when you have fewer kids and so many more things to do, it's like it's tough to pick and choose. And as you said, that meats judging isn't the easiest thing. I mean, if you enjoy a challenge, if you're a youth that enjoys a challenge, I would encourage you to try it because it will challenge you.
Yeah.
But the rewards, I mean, are tremendous. You get to see parts of this state, parts of other states that you may have not ever been to before. You make lifetime friends traveling and competing together on teams and other people from other teams and stuff. Yeah. I remember people I judged against. I didn't judge meats. I was a crops judger down in Oklahoma, but I still remember a lot of the guys I judged against, and some of us ended up in the same college together and would visit. We didn't like each other in high school because we was bitter rivals, but we became really close in college.
Yeah.
And I think that may be something that people don't know, is that you can compete as much as you want and at any level through 4-H, whether it's meats judging, livestock, or whatever. Yeah. It's as competitive as anything else out there. I mean, volleyball, basketball, football, you name it.
You bet. And like this contest we were at this weekend, there were 100 contestants, and this thing was open to the world. And so you had a lot of FFA kids involved, FFA chapters. And so they throw you in there, whether you're 10 years old or 18, you're all competing against each other. And so it was tough, but our kids ended up 8th high team, and we made some silly mistakes in places, but we learned a lot. And and for this early in the season, I was pleased with how they did, and one thing I need to mention to you, I have experienced with every kid that has been on our 4-H team, they have had tremendous support from their parents, and that has meant a great deal to me because, as you well know, if you don't have the parents' support and have them probably pushing a little bit, things don't get done.
Yep.
And I couldn't ask for a better group of parents than what we have right now. And, all 4 families had representatives in Manhattan at the contest supporting their kids being there. And that means so much. Now, the kids might get a little.
They got to behave a little more when their parents are around.
Yeah. And, but the support has been fantastic, but we'd like to have a few more people.
Yep. Well, and, I'll throw this in there. I'll give them a plug. The Barber County Cattlemen's Association has been so instrumental in supporting our local judging teams for years. It makes it very easy. If a youth wants to be involved in a judging team, very likely they're not going to have to pony up, if any, money of their own, very little, because the Cattlemen's Association is they want to make those things available to our youth. And so a lot of times judging trips are covered 100%.
Yeah, and that's very true. And that doesn't happen everywhere.
No.
That does not happen everywhere. And so we're very obliged to them, and they've been extremely supportive.
Yeah. Has there been some teams? So I got, it kind of slips my mind. Now, Barber County, since you've been back, have they won it one state 3 times or more? I was thinking there was a junior team that won it one year.
Well, our junior team, our intermediate team, has won it several times.
Okay.
Several times. Our senior team won it in, I'll probably screw this up, but 2016 or 2017, may have been 2017. And, that was a great experience, and the contest was the national contest was at K-State. And then we had the awards breakfast at the American Royal in Kansas City. And the parents of all the kids on that team came up to Kansas City. We all ate together that night and then went to the breakfast the next morning. And it was so cool. Tim and I were there and the parents and seeing the kids do. And they ended up 3rd high in the nation that year. Since then, the Kansas has gone to, quote, an all-star team, which is they take the top individuals out of the state contest, bring them together, and make it competitive. And it is very, 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 very competitive. And, in recent years, we've had one young man, Calvin Smith, that made that team and has got to be in the national contest also. So that changes things a little bit. But if you have a team that wins the state contest, then you are allowed to go to Denver to the National Western 4-H contest. So you still have that carrot out there,
Well, I was thinking even before Callan, Ryan Marshall had qualified for that team, and Easton Rector had.
Yes.
And you talk about some fun trips. When I first became the county agent, and we had a senior team and a junior team, and you always took the junior team, and I was so thankful because that group of boys, them young boys, were ornery. Well, you had the 2 Rector kids, and you had Callan, and you had Jack Schreiner.
Yes.
And we'd be traveling. If I was behind you, I thought, it looks like a battle royal going on in the back seat of that vehicle with them boys wrestling around. But, that one year, those 4, I think all 4 of them placed like in the top 8 at the state contest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember when we were leaving, Hudson Rector was the younger brother, and he had outscored Easton, and Easton was getting in with me. And I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "You ride with Dr. Carr back to Pratt? And he goes, I ain't riding with my brother back to Pratt, not after this contest, because he got beat. He said, I'm not going to give him a chance to razz me for 3 hours. I said, all right, get in.
That was probably the biggest disappointing thing that's occurred in our forage experience here is that Ryan and Sterling and Easton, I knew they had the potential to be really, really good. And so even though we weren't representing Kansas at the National Western Contest, I asked them, I said, you want a road trip to Denver and we'll go through the contest. So it won't count, but we'll see the contest scores. And so they said, yeah. And so we went to the University of Wyoming and worked out at their meat lab, and then went down to Colorado State and worked out at their meat lab where the contest was held. And I knew in my heart we could win state that fall. And of course, when we got home, COVID, and it just wiped us out. And so never really had a chance for those three to be together and to do what I know they could have done.
Yeah, I remember we set up computers and stuff that summer for the state contest at the courthouse for them to do the contest. And it just, yeah, you're right. It was, at least they had a contest, but it wasn't even close to the same.
No. And I probably hadn't prepared them the right way for that type of a contest. And we didn't do as well as we probably should have. And but that was a great trip, and three high quality young people for sure.
What do you think? Looking back through your years and then your own experiences, how has 4-H helped shape your life and maybe some of the other people that you've worked with and seen?
Well, I've had that question posed to me several times, and you've got all those standard things. Well, decision making, and improves your decision making, and observation powers, and that type of thing. But one of the things I think it helps when you really get back and look at it is self-discipline. You have to decide yourself if you're going to just fool around and play average, or are you going to try to excel and do your best? And, as a teacher, that was the thing that I found most challenging and most rewarding, is being able to turn somebody on, to motivate them to do their best. Now, sometimes I was successful, sometimes I wasn't, but that self-discipline you get, that time management aspect. You talk about the girls and everything that they're involved in, and there's only 24 hours in a day. And so we've got to prioritize. Well, what's number one, in my priority list? And but that aspect of self-discipline, which I think we lack so much in our society today, is really, really important. The development of integrity, honesty, those types of nuts and bolts that we need to have as a part of our character are really important.
You bet. If there's somebody out there, and I'm going to preface this by saying, we struggle not just at Extension or 4-H, but as a society with volunteers. They're getting fewer and fewer people that want to volunteer on councils or boards or whatever it may be. If there's somebody that listens to this, what would you share with them about why they should volunteer for something?
Well, like I previously mentioned, for me, I had a lot of people volunteer to help me. Whether I was 8 years old, beginning in 4-H, or an extension specialist in the state of Illinois. And I helped train a lot of volunteers. And I think yes, it takes time, it takes some dedication, but it's so rewarding when you see these young people flourish, graduate, end up, making great contributions in the livestock and meat industry. It's very rewarding. And and again, it goes back, all right, if I volunteer, all right, what am I going to let go? Because this is a time commitment. That's exactly right. And it seems like, Justin, we just don't have very many people that are willing to make that time commitment. But when you see the end point and how that might impact this young person's life, that's pretty big deal. And especially in our society today, when not every family has mom and dad, that volunteer leader may have a big impact on somebody. And so it's pretty important. But you're right. There's not a lot of people lining up to volunteer for this or that, or whether it be a fire department, you name it.
Yep. We've started featuring former scholarship recipients for the Cattlemen's Association on their Facebook page. And it's what you just said is 100% true. When you start looking at some of those kids that's got those scholarships and the careers they've made and their walk with integrity and the families that they're now raising in agriculture, some of them in agriculture, some of them not, but they're just very stand-up people that walk with integrity and honesty, and just makes you proud that they're from this county. I wish more of them were still here.
Yes.
We do a great job of raising kids and send them off to K-State or wherever, and then we don't see them for a long time. Well, you would be,
I'd be a prime example.
You're an example,
Yeah.
Just there was more, we had a bigger population back then, so probably didn't notice as much, but now it really stings. It's like, wow, because we look at Kiowa, the South Barber School's been playing 6-man football for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And there's nothing after that if that enrollment continues to go down.
Yeah.
I guess it's cross country or tiddlywinks. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's really neat to sit back and correspond with those. They're still young people to me, and hear about what they're doing in their career and how much this county and 4-H and the Cattlemen's Association kind of help shape them. And that's a great thing, because I can tell you, not a lot of counties have what we have right here in Barber County.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I think of the Lonker boys, and they come back. They're still in the area, and we're getting ready to go to Taylor's wedding and, see those kids. And of course, Maddie Marshall is is in the Department of Animal Science.
Yep.
That is really cool. Of course, Ryan's getting ready to graduate. I'm not sure where she's headed, but wherever it be, she'll be a success.
Yep.
And we just have really high quality kids, and it's great. And that is the realization as a volunteer. You see those kids that maybe you've poured into come out the other end and are really making a name for themselves.
Yep. Well, is there anything else we need to cover? I've kept you here for quite a while now. I was looking at my little timer.
I don't think so. It's just, like I said, we live in a real neat area, and there's quality kids everywhere. And I think 4-H is a great activity in which can really embellish a young person in developing skills and that they'll have the rest of their life. And I would encourage those and their parents to look at 4-H and see if there's something there that trips my child's trigger, and get in it, get involved, because it's life changing. It was for me.
And I'm going to throw this in there. We've talked, and you mentioned it earlier. There's a lot more to do than just like the meat judging team or the livestock judging team. I had the privilege of judging a state project record book. I think I need to keep it anonymous because I know we're supposed to keep that stuff confidential. So I won't even say the subject. I'll just say unbelievable information by evaluating those record books of what those young people were learning in that subject. And I can share with this, it has nothing to do with what we was talking about. 4-H offers so much. I mean, there's woodworking, there's rocketry, robotics. I mean, there's something for everybody in 4-H. And I randomly got selected for that project. And I remember telling Robin, I said, I'm pretty positive I put in when I was saying I would volunteer, because I like to evaluate record books, but usually I'm evaluating something that I'm involved with.
Yes.
This had nothing to do with it. And I said, I wonder if they got that mixed up and sent it to me by accident, put me on that one by accident, because this ain't something I'm usually involved with. But I mean, the future is bright for those young people evaluating their record books, just what they've learned, what they're doing now in their communities, not just their 4-H club, their communities as a whole. And then they've reached out into regional and state stuff. Unbelievable. And so I would encourage, if you're a parent and you got a kid that's on the fence, if you want them to have a positive experience in a good, safe environment, 4-H is a great place to bring them, because there is something for everybody. I don't know if I told you, but we started a market broiler program to try to breathe some life into the poultry project. And I picked up rabbit cages over the weekend, and might have a guy delivering rabbits on his way down to a bull sale in a couple of weeks. So we're going to try to get some kids interested in rabbits. We're looking at fixing to launch the sport fishing tournament for Barber County. We're trying to do some things that can be self-guided, but also can be done in groups as well. But just some stuff to encourage kids to get involved, get outside, get off these electronic devices. Not that they're, terrible. I mean, they've got their use, but go out and, there's nothing wrong with getting your hands dirty every now and again outside.
Absolutely not.
Well, I'll tell you, the more you can get your hands dirty, the more you realize education's important.
Yes.
I'll start studying a little bit more in school.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Dr. Carr, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, and thank you for continuing to volunteer, because that's not the norm. We beat down doors every year trying to get more volunteers, and I appreciate that you're a individual that we don't have to knock on the door very hard, that you seem to just step up every time, and thank you for your commitment, not just to Barber County 4-H, but our community as a whole, because you're involved. I mean, we just touched on, 4-H and extension, but you're involved in a whole lot more than that in this area, and just appreciate who you are and what you do and the example that you've set for myself and others.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Enjoyed it.
Have a good day.
Thank you.